This is a Pilot Custom 74 with a soft fine nib. Let's take a look at it. This is a pen with a decent amount of flexibility. I would say perhaps a little bit less flexible than the Pilot Falcon, but without flex it goes considerably finer than the Falcon. So this is almost like an extra fine line, and it goes to all the way up to a medium. So in a way it probably has more range than the Falcon does in terms of flex. This is a pen that's incredibly sensitive, so I can work really lightly, put down just like a hair wide line, and also works really well under pressure. So you get a really large variety of stroke. It also works really well in reverse, though the line is already so fine that probably reverse writing is a little bit redundant. It's a fairly smooth reverse writer. In terms of balance, this pen is very well balanced, but perhaps a little bit back heavy when posted because the cap posts rather shallowly in the back. So I'm finding it a little bit back heavy, but it's long enough to be used without posting. Otherwise it's incredibly comfortable. I would say the main advantage of this pen over the Pilot Falcon is that it's longer and is able to use Pilot's excellent Con 70 push button converter. So this pen has a lot of ink capacity, which is really good for a flexible pen, which tends to eat up a lot of ink. It's also less expensive than the Falcon. So while the Falcon probably runs at about 140, this pen can be ordered directly from Japan for around $100. So I would say if I was going to choose between the Pilot Falcon and this pen, I would go with this pen. Again, it's a little bit less expensive, also widely available. You do have to wait quite a bit, perhaps even a few months, right now anyway, to get this pen from Japan. All right, let's see how this pen functions in practice. Let's take this for a test spin. Alright, let's give this pen a shot. I have it inked up with Noodler's Black, one of my favorite black inks, because of its waterproof qualities, which allow me to go over my drawing with additional ink washes or even better watercolor. One of the things I noticed about this pen is that even though it's labeled as soft fine, I'm able to tease out an extra fine line out of it, particularly when I hold it way back at a slight angle. I'm able to create almost these kind of whisper-like lines, which I really like because when I have a pen this sensitive, a pen that I'm able to work with so lightly, I'm able to go a little bit more detailed in my underdrawing. Really, depending on how thick the pen is, how much ink it puts down, I'll do a more or less detailed underdrawing. I usually prefer to do a fairly detailed underdrawing. That's something I do in dry media drawings, so in charcoal. However, in a pen that writes fairly thickly, I'm unable to do that, which forces me to simplify my underdrawing. And I don't know, usually my drawings tend to be a little bit worse when I don't go through this process of blocking my shapes. So this process allows me to analyze my forms, get my proportions right, to anticipate mistakes. Something I really appreciate about this pen. So again, for some reason, even though this is a soft fine, not an extra fine, it really writes like an extra fine, much thinner lines than I can get with a Pilot Falcon. The other thing I really appreciate about this pen is that it doesn't quite gush out as much ink as the Pilot Falcon. The Pilot Falcon is a bit of a wet writer, which is a little bit of a problem in a drawing style like mine, where you're constantly going over the drawing with layers and layers of crosshatch. And because of that, the ink dries faster, which allows me to get through my drawing faster, lay over it with watercolor if I need to faster. The ergonomics of this pen are really excellent. It's long enough to write unposted. With the cap on, it might be a little bit back heavy, but I don't know, it doesn't really bother me that much. Again, these things are very subjective. I would say the main advantage of this pen over the Falcon, and why I will probably recommend this pen over the Pilot Falcon, is because it has a much larger ink capacity. So this pen is long. It's able to fit the Con 70 converter, which holds, I don't know, 3-4 times more ink than the crappy Con 40, which the Pilot Falcon is limited to. So I really appreciate the extra ink capacity. It's also cheaper than the Falcon by probably about $50 if you buy it through eBay from a Japanese from a Japanese store. Now the caveat is that right now mail from Japan is delayed, so that I don't know, I ordered this pen probably mid-March and it didn't arrive until sometime in July, so it took quite a while. Look, the circumstances might change right now, but at any rate it'll still take quite some time to arrive if you're going to order it directly from the store in Japan, but it's really worth it because for most US marketers, retailers, this pen is probably around $200. For some reason more expensive than the Pilot Falcon. Since this is a little bit of a longer drawing, I spent a little more time on the under drawing, blocking things in. This gives me a chance to talk about basically the entire Flex line in the Falcon in the Falcon brand. I'm sorry, in the Pilot brand. So besides the Pilot Custom 74 in the soft fine, we have the Pilot Falcon. Then there are two additional Flex pens that are made by Falcon. I keep saying Falcon, excuse me, Pilot. The Pilot Justice, which I haven't tried, which has an adjustable nib. It's a kind of a unique thing where you can adjust the nib to go from stiff to more flexible. That pen in the US will run, I don't know, $250, and I'm not sure that adjustability is really worth it. And from what I've seen online of the performance of the pen, it's not particularly impressive. What is impressive is the other pen, which I have in my possession luckily, the Pilot Custom 73 with a number 15 nib, a flex nib. So Pilot Custom 73 FA. I'm going to be doing a review of that pen shortly. That's an absolutely excellent pen. Now, there are complaints about all the Flex pens that Pilot makes, that somehow they run dry, they railroad. There's this idea that somehow the Flex pens designed by Pilot are made for Japanese calligraphy, which is customarily made with shorter strokes, and not really designed for Western calligraphy, which customarily has longer strokes. So the pen is not designed for the type of flex writing that we use in the West. However, I have not had any issues with this pen at all. Maybe this could be because I tend to use fairly short strokes in my cross-hatching, but even when I've tried doing longer strokes, none of the Pilot pens have had any issues whatsoever. Look, these things are very highly dependent on the paper, the ink, your writing style. There are feeds that you can buy for the Pilot Custom 73, FA, and some other pens. From a third party, so like an aftermarket party called Flexible Nib Factory, which basically make ebonite feeds with more flow to them than the standard plastic feeds that are available in Pilot. However, I've bought some and they make absolutely no difference. Again, I haven't had any problem with the original feeds made by Pilot. I don't know what happened to the other people that were complaining about it. But if you do have problems with the flow, I recommend changing inks, trying smoother papers before claiming that the pen doesn't work, because really, this particular pen works great. All the Pilot pens work really fantastically well. Just about the best modern flex pens on the market, unless you buy a custom feed from somebody, a custom nib, some kind of nib customization. These are the best flex nibs, modern flex nibs, just right out of the box. So that's my review of the Pilot Custom 74 with a soft fine nib. Really great pen, really strongly recommended.